welcome to part 2 of the Premier League preview. If you've missed part 1, go and have a look for the guys' thoughts regarding Man City, Arsenal, Liverpool, Bournemouth, Spurs against Brentford. In this part, we're just looking at the rest of the Premier League fixtures for this weekend and giving our score predictions as well. West Ham are still yet to play outside of London. Every single game has either been away to side in London or at home. They're taking on Chelsea. 3.4 for West Ham. Chelsea are 2.06, just more than double your money. 3.8 for the tie. West Ham have lost both of their Premier League home games so far this season, against Aston Villa and against Manchester City. In their league history, they have never, ever lost each of their first 3 home fixtures. So if they do lose this one, it could be a little bit of history, unwanted history for West Ham. Paul, I'm coming to you first. West Ham against Chelsea. Quick thoughts on the score prediction, please.
Still waiting for West Ham to get going, aren't we? I mean, decent draw last time away at Fulham. But we are literally, Fulkrug's been injured, missing. I'm still waiting to see him, the best of him in the Premier League. It was a big change at West Ham, managerial staff, coaching staff, and a big overhaul of players as well. It is going to take time. But yeah, we are still waiting for West Ham. Chelsea, again, we don't know, I mean, they got a decent away win at Bournemouth last week, but I was listening to it on the radio, I can't remember where I was driving, but it sounded like they got well beaten until about 60 minutes into the game. They come back into the game and that they played well in the last 35, 40 minutes. So it's a tough one to call. London derby again. West Ham, what you're going to get, the defensive stability, Mavropanos, Kilman, one of those two gets injured. I think the light in those type of areas going forward. Souček was a surprise inclusion for me last week at Fulham. Whether he plays again or not, he came into the front 3, if you like, in behind Antonio. Played with Bowen, Souček and Kudus, didn't he? Souček was the one that came into the side. Possibly will do the same again against Chelsea. Might be a slightly more defensive-minded West Ham. But yeah, it's a tough one for me to call this, Gav. It really is. Chelsea, most weeks we say, don't know what you're going to get. And away at the London Stadium, again, personnel, the way that they play, not so sure what you're going to get from Chelsea.
West Ham's home form against Chelsea is not too bad. 2 wins and a draw in their last 3 games. Chelsea have won 30 of their last 56 Premier League meetings with West Ham. They've only won more times against Spurs in the Premier League, which is a strange record. Enzo Maresca could win his 3rd consecutive away game as Chelsea boss. The last manager to win his first 3 away games in charge of a new team was Pep Guardiola back in 2016. Let's get for a score prediction in this one. In fact, I'll come to you, Neil, first for a score prediction, then come back to you, Paul. West Ham against Chelsea. Your thoughts on the score prediction, please, bud?
Yeah, I got West Ham for this one. Neither have played midweek. I just think Chelsea will have little blips here and there. I think this will be one of them. Like you say, they've got a poor record at West Ham. They've won 1 of the last 7 visits, and that 1 was 3 years ago. And it's only a quick question. I know you want to move on. So a quick question. 3 years ago, 1 of the starting lineup for Chelsea is still at the football club. 3 years ago. Who was that 1 player? That's how much change has happened at Chelsea in 3 years. They won 1-0. There's 1 player who is still at the football club, and he will not start the game. He is part of the bomb squad, I think, at Chelsea. Ben Chilwell is the only player who started 3 years ago for Chelsea, still at the football club. Wow. So, I just think this is going to be a little blip for Chelsea. I think they'll have a good season, but they'll have blips here and there. West Ham have got to win. They've got to win, surely. They can't keep getting beat. Player to score, Kudus. What a player he is.
Yes.
He hasn't scored this season. 1 in his last 15 for West Ham. He hasn't scored at home since last December. He's due a goal at home in front of them home fans. Kudus to score. West Ham to win. Come on, the Hammers. 2-1.
2-1 for West Ham. Score prediction from you, please, Paul.
Other way around. I'm going to go 2-1 Chelsea. Just, again, I don't know what you think with Chelsea. A win away at Bournemouth last week, but they showed a bit of resilience. They showed that they can stay in the game. Kept a clean sheet. Don't think they'll keep a clean sheet. I'm going to go for the Premier League's most favourite scoreline, most popular scoreline of all time. 2-1. 2-1 Chelsea.
2-1 for Chelsea. Chelsea last won at West Ham back in 2021. They won by 1-0. Timo Werner scored the only goal of the game for Chelsea. A complete disagreement between the two guys. 2-1 they've gone for. Neil for West Ham and Paul for Chelsea. We move on to a Midlands derby. Aston Villa taking on Wolves. Villa are 1.59. They're now in this Champions League, getting back to the Premier League phase. Wolves are 5.4. They can only dream of being in the Champions League. 4.3 for the tie. I'll come to you, Neil, for your quick thoughts on the score prediction on this one, please, my friend.
Yeah, Villa 2-0 down against Everton, turned it around to win 3-2, giving chances away. what a result for them in the Champions League. The first game back in there to beat Young Boys. I think they come back down to earth. Massive high to have got the first Champions League victory. I think Wolves, they got turned over in the Cup by Brighton. They got beat last week at home to Newcastle late on. I think Wolves get something. I think it'll be a really close game. Maybe a bit of a surprise, this one. I'm going to go for Villa 1, Wolves 1.
It's gone for a tie between these two sides. Aston Villa beat Wolves 2-0 last time they met last season in March. It's been 20 years since Villa won back-to-back games in the league against Wolves. And also between March and Christmas 2023, Villa conceded 8 goals in 16 Premier League games at home. Since then, they've conceded 26 goals in 12 at home. So they've been very leaky at Villa Park. So you've gone for a tie in this one at 4.3. Paul, what about you? Score predictions for Villa Wolves, please.
Can't see Wolves getting anything. I really can't. I think the way the run that Villa are on, they blew Everton away last week. I know they went 2 down, but actually it was a smash and grab. The twice that Everton entered Villa's half, they got a goal. And I just think the firepower that Villa have got and the role that they're on, the 3-0 away in midweek in the Champions League, I worry for Gary O'Neill. I like Gary O'Neill. I think he's a good young coach. I think he's had his best assets stripped away in Kilman and Neto. He's not been given the purse to replace him. I don't think they've got the personnel to replace them. And listen, Neil will tell you, I don't know if he agrees or not, but I always used to find Villa Park a tough place to go, regardless of how they were doing in the league, whether it be bottom, middle, top, whatever they were doing. It was always a tough ground to go and get points. And this Midlands derby, I think it holds a bit of fear for Wolves. And I've got Aston Villa to win it comfortably. I'm going for a 3-0 Villa win and another Ollie Watkins goal.
Yes, I can tell you that generally Aston Villa at home to Wolves, it's generally an unders game. We've had a 2-0, we've had a 1-1 as well, although we did have a 3-2 back in 2021 when Wolves came here and won by 3 goals to 2. They are winless in their last 7. 1 win in 14 for Wolves. You've gone for Aston Villa to win by 3 goals to 0. We will move on to Fulham against their bogey side, Newcastle United. Fulham at 2.86, Newcastle at 2.5, 3.4 for the tie. Fulham are winless in their last 8 Premier League meetings with Newcastle. They've lost each of the last 5 in a row, and Fulham have failed to score in the last 4 games against Newcastle. Fulham do not like playing the Geordie boys. Your score prediction and thoughts on this one, please, Neil. We'll come to you first.
Away win, you just said it. Yeah, I mean, double last season for Newcastle. Last time Fulham did the double over Newcastle was in the Championship, 16-17 season. I hope there's not any penalties because you're looking at Fulham midweek. What was that? 16-15 got beaten by Preston. Absolutely epic one. I mean, if you're a goalie in that sort of pen shootout, you're thinking happy days. You've got the chance to win it. But yeah, I like Newcastle this season. No Europe for them. It could have been more last week against Wolves. They've got goals. They've got goals, Newcastle, and I like that about them. I've got Newcastle to win. Maybe Isak to score. He's only got 1 in 5 so far this season, like him. Newcastle to win 2-1.
Gone for 2-1 victory. None of Fulham's 16 Premier League home games against Newcastle have finished a draw. There is only one exact fixture to be played without ending in a draw more times than that. It's Everton against Fulham at Goodison Park. 17 consecutive games without a draw. So this is a fixture where the draw just simply does not happen. There's always a victor. It tends to be Newcastle more times than not. Your score prediction, please, Paul, in this one.
Doing well, Newcastle, aren't they? Sitting 4th, 3rd in the Premier League. Picked up points on the road as well last week against Wolves. Looks strong. Neil said about Isak, I got a knock last week. I'm not sure if he's injured or fit. So if you're going to go for him for top scorer, wait till the team sheet comes out, have a look for your goal scorer. But yeah, Fulham at home, they're a different proposition to Fulham away. But they fall into that bracket with like Brentford, Bournemouth. They're going to be mid-table. They're not going to be troubling the European places. They're not going down. They'll just pick up enough points and they'll be where they are. And it's tough to say, but it's an honest appraisal of where they are. I think Newcastle go there with the players that they've got and win. They go 2-0 Newcastle.
Which is what they did in the FA Cup earlier this year. In January 2024, they came here. Longstaff and Dan Burns scored the goals and won by 2 goals to 0. Just a quick mention to the cracking goals that Newcastle did score away at Wolves. The one thing you want as a Wolves defender is going, oh, Fabian Schär's got it. Yeah, you can strike it from there, son. It's fine. You're a centre half. Wallop. I know it took a deflection, but that's kind of what you want from a centre half. Have a strike from 30 yards. Good luck with that one. Put it in the top corner.
The miss from Harvey Barnes, 97th minute. If he scores that, I win on the predictions and put it in, Barn.
The WhatsApp came alive. Did you see that, miss? Nobody replied. We just sat there smiling. Right, so you've gone for Newcastle to continue their winning streak against Fulham. Winning streak, well, that's not something that you can associate with either Leicester or Everton. That's where we're going next. Leicester are 2.62, Everton are 2.72, 3.4 for the tie. Leicester coming to this one 15th. Everton, well, we know where they are. They are absolutely plumb bottom. And Neil, I'm going to come to you first in this one. Score prediction between Leicester and Everton, please.
Yeah, I live 15 minutes away from Liverpool City Centre over the River Mersey. I could hear the boos. Everton fans are not happy. They do not like what they are seeing at the moment. More boos midweek against Southampton. Knocked out Ashley Young, missing the penalty. Bringing on Ashley Young for Beto. You might have seen a few WhatsApp pictures going around the old Ant and Deck. Put Ashley Young on for Beto. It's just not going well. It's not going well for Everton. I think they'll win. I think they'll win this time. I think they're good for goals. Conceding has been a problem, and this is where maybe they get a little bit of luck. They need a bit of luck, don't they? So I've got Everton to win this game. Leicester are still looking for their first win. Everton to win 2-1.
2-1 for Everton. Where I just said that Fulham against Newcastle is never really a draw, 16 of the 34 Premier League meetings between Leicester and Everton have been a draw. It's the highest percentage for any fixture where they've played 30 times or more in the Premier League where it's ended up a draw. Also, bad news for Leicester City. For only a fourth time, Leicester City failed to win any of their first 4 Premier League games in a season, and in all 3 previous seasons, they were relegated. So it's not a good start for Leicester. If you're Leicester City and you see Everton coming with the fragility where they can actually lead 2-0 and still lose a game of football, you've got to go gunning for 3 points in this one. What's your score prediction on this one, please, Paul?
Is it too early for a 6-pointer? Because this is massive, isn't it?
Yeah.
You look at where the two teams are, especially for Everton.
For confidence more than anything. It's not sometimes just the 3 points. It's just to get a win on the board, go into training with a smile on your face, and sometimes the world of football is just a slightly better place. So for confidence more than anything, these teams need a win.
Spoke to a few of the Everton backroom staff at Villa Park before the game on Saturday last week. There's a harmonious camp there. He's got a squad of players that are all behind him. There's a good atmosphere in the camp. The players are playing for each other. They're just not getting the rub of the green, and they're not getting the results and performances on the pitch. And I, like Neil, I think it's got to turn soon. I tipped at the beginning of the season to have a lot more of a comfortable season than last season. So I think they'll get the season off to a start here. And one thing that will have really irked him will be Sean Dyche will be the goals that his side have conceded. They will be going through team shape, defensive shape, robotically this week. Clean sheet for Everton, 2-0 away win.
So you've both gone for Everton to win this one. Neil, you've gone for 2-1. Paul, you've gone for 2-0. Everton have lost their opening 4 league matches in the season for just the 3rd time in their entire history, doing it in 1926-27 and 1958-59. I'm pleased to say that none of us were around for that. You were talking about a 6-pointer, a relegation crunch 6-pointer. That's exactly what we've got at St Mary's this weekend. Southampton against Ipswich is where we are going next. Southampton are 2.24, Ipswich are 3.2, 3.5 for the tie. Ipswich have won more Premier League games against Southampton than any other side. There's a stat for you. Paul, thoughts and score prediction, please. Saints against Ipswich.
I'd like to back your stats. I'd like to, one, know where you got them from, and 2, how many times Southampton and Ipswich have actually played each other in the Premier League. Must be a grand total of about 6, if that.
It's still a stat. I mean, let's ignore the fact that they haven't played in the Premier League for many a generation. But it's true. Of the last 10 head-to-head meetings as well, the home side have only won 2 of them, and they did play quite a lot in the Championship as well. So this is very much a head-to-head where it is the away side who come out on top. And I would probably say there's just a little bit more, for me personally, about Ipswich going into this one than Southampton. So, but I'm not putting on the score predictions, you are. So let's hear it. Where you're going in this one?
I think they've got a little bit more about them, Ipswich. I think they've got a little bit more stability and a little bit more of a ruggedness. And let's say they're not stuck in a system and a way of playing. They can mix it up a little bit, and they'll do it to get a result. Saying that about Russell Martin, we spoke before, haven't we, about him potentially being the next Vincent Kompany of the Premier League this year. They're very stuck to the way they're playing. they're very much play out from the back. This is how we do it, and we're not changing for anybody type thing. Teams are predictable, but you've got to have good players to do that. You've got to have top players to do that week in and week out. I get the advantages of doing it, but actually you've got to have the players that are able to do it and create those chances. Southampton leave themselves vulnerable. They concede a lot of goals. I know they lost last time 3-0 against Manchester United, put in a decent performance. Ipswich went to Brighton, drew 0-0, and I think that was a real marker for Kieran McKenna. He can go to his team and goes, look, we've gone to a top Premier League team here, which Brighton are at the moment. Listen, they're an established Premier League team, good players, good manager, and a club going in the right direction. To go there and get a point will have given them the world of confidence. So I've got them to go to Southampton and win. I think they go there. I think it's a closely fought game. I think Ipswich win 2-1.
It's gone for 2-1 for Ipswich. The last meeting between these two sides in the Premier League, by the way, was indeed 2002. So we're talking 22 years since these teams last met in the Premier League. Southampton lost 1-0 at home to Ipswich in the Championship. They haven't lost consecutive home games to Ipswich since 1980. So we're done, Paul. Neil, your score prediction, please, for Southampton Ipswich.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be a classic. You know, two sides who know the importance of this fixture. Southampton on the back of looked a worse defeat than perhaps it was against United 3-0. They missed that penalty at 0-0. I just feel as though if they can get the first goal in the game, that'll make a big difference. 2 draws in a row for Ipswich, massive. I think the away form will be a problem for both these teams this season. I don't think they'll pick many points up away. I know Ipswich got a draw at Brighton, which is brilliant. I don't think they'll get too many away from home. Conceding goals is a problem for both teams. Scoring goals is a problem for both teams. First goal wins it for me, and that'll be the only goal. I've got Southampton to get it 1-0 Southampton.
Yeah, it's Southampton. It's sometimes it's not playing Man United and playing Manchester City. Both these teams have done respectively. Is nice. This is nice. This is the pressure game. This is the absolute crunch game. You see a team come in and go, we can turn these over. And Southampton not scoring plenty of tipped them to win by a 1-0 in the relegation 6-point. I think it's not too early to dub Southampton Ipswich that. Let's move on to the late game on Saturday. Crystal Palace at home to Man United. I've got a quiz question for you guys. Are you ready? Palace at 2.7, Manchester United at 2.46, 3.75 for the tie. Manchester United have won just 2 of their last 16 Premier League games away to teams in London. Both those victories came against the same side. One guess each. Who is that side? I'll start with you, Neil.
Fulham.
What say you, Paul?
Tottenham.
It's Fulham. The fact that he never hesitated. The fact that he answered within 0.3 of a second, I thought, yeah, this guy knows his stuff. He's done his research. So, yeah, Man United only have won at Fulham recently in the Premier League on their travels to London. Right, who went first last time? I think it was Paul last time. So, Neil, score prediction, Palace against Manchester United, please.
Yeah, mid-table game, isn't it? 16th against 10th.
He just can't help himself, can he?
Will, the producer's a Man United fan. He's got lasers coming out of his eyes at the moment. He really is.
Until we get in the top 4, I'm going to call them a mid-table team. Right, okay. They won 7-0 against Barnsley midweek. Rashford's at a bit of form, which is good news for United. Palace midweek beat QPR away, so both have won in the cup. And just to finish with the question for this one, United haven't won in the last 4 visits to Palace, so they have struggled going down to Palace. The last time they won, it was COVID, July 2020, 2-0. Who were the managers that day? Palace and Man United. The last time United beat Palace away was 2020, COVID, July. Who were the managers for Palace and Man United?
Roy Hodgson?
Yes.
Sure you said COVID season don't count, I'm sure you said. Question's invalid.
It doesn't. This question goes, come on, Robbo, you need to get one right today. Man United manager 2020, who was it?
I got one.
He did. He pulled it. Yeah, he pulled
Palace,
the gem out.
Roy Hodgson was Palace or Liverpool?
Sorry.
No, he was.
Palace,
Yeah.
We've got Palace. It was the United.
Was it? Oh, they've had so many managers. Man United. Is it?
No.
Ranić?
No.
Michael Carrick.
No.
It's a good shout. He was temporary manager for a while. See, this is the thing. This is Man United all over, isn't it? You know, you could have
Probably the best one they've had in recent times. You've got Kane.
Jose Mourinho.
Who's better than him in terms of results for United?
Second.
Maybe he wasn't better than him.
Well, I've got one. I'm just going to sit back on Roy Hodgson and say this is over to you, Paul.
Okay, he's Norwegian.
Oh, Ole Solskjaer.
There we go. Solskjaer was the one. Yes, that was the last time United won there. Quite a while ago. I've got United to win. Here we go. My score is 2-1 for United. Bruno to score. He's got none in his last 10 for United. I'm surprised at that. I think he will score.
Last time Man United did win here, was that 2-0? Did you say 2-0 or 2-1?
2-1.
2-1. You've gone for Palace to find the back of the net. Man United last they won here was in 2020. It's been a while since they come to Palace. In fact, there's a stat that backs this up. Having won none of their first 20 Premier League fixtures against Manchester United, Palace have now won 5 of the last 10. So it's a 50% success rate for Palace against Man United. Score prediction, please, Paul. Palace against Man United.
They were good, Man United against Barnsley. I was impressed. Rashford 2, Eriksen 2. Garnacho was very good, by the way. He was sharp. Anthony was still poor. He was still poor. They boxed off a League One team. It was a routine game. But the thing that I was impressed with United is they kept going. It didn't get to like 3 or 4 and they just keep recycling the ball, and then every now and then they were intent on pressing from the top. They wanted to get more goals. They wanted to lay down a statement, which is what they did. If that United turns up, then they'll give Palace a really good game and they'll win the game. I'm going for a comfortable United away win, 3-1.
3-1, which is something I think they did around 2018-2019 season. Of course, last time Man United played here, they did get absolutely battered 4-0, and it was when people were looking at Man United going, that really is rock bottom, with the greatest respect to Crystal Palace. You've gone for 3-1 for Man United. Producer was delighted you've both picked Man United to win this one. And the final game that we've yet to cover, this is your first kick-off on Sunday, just before the big one, Man City against Arsenal. Brighton against Forest, 1.75 for Brighton. Forest, who I thought could be struggling this season, and they might not be the first team to pile the points on the board early and then still struggle. I know Leeds have done that in the past, and Middlesbrough were famous for it in the Premier League, but they have started well. Forest, 4.8 to go and win away at Brighton. They were 12 to win away at Liverpool last weekend, and they did it 3.75 for the tie. There have been 3 penalties and 2 own goals in the last 3 meetings between these two sides. It is action-packed when these teams play. Neil, your score prediction, please.
Do you know what? I'm torn, really torn on this one. Both teams are unbeaten. I was impressed with Forest, how organised they were. The first goal so important against Forest. If Brighton can get that, I think they win the game. Will Forest get something to hold on to? I'm really torn. I don't think Forest will win. But can Brighton win it? I think it'll be really close. I really do. Torn between the 1-1 and 2-1 to Brighton at the moment. And so I'm going to go for 1-1. I think Forest will dig it out. Yeah, I think they're better than what we thought they would be this year. 1-1. Yeah,
Forest, by the way, whose away form last season was pretty stinky. They did have 1 win in something like 11, 12 away games. They've now won their last 4 consecutive away games in the Premier League. We are going back to the Clough era to find that kind of away form for Forest. Could be 5 wins in a row, although Forest have failed to score in any of the last 4 games at Brighton. So this is at Brighton. They don't score at Brighton, but Morgan Gibbs-White, he's a great player, has 2 goals in his last 3 games against Brighton, obviously at the City Ground. Score prediction in this one, please, for you, Paul.
Everything that Neil said you could have echoed. I've got exactly that written down, and I've got 1-1 written down. I think Forest are a different proposition to what we thought they were going to be this year. Went to Liverpool last week, put in a really good performance. The players, they finally look to have gelled. They look to have set on a starting 11. Brighton, we know what they are. They're a good team, Brighton. And under the new manager, I think they've gone on again. Ipswich went there and got a draw, didn't they? Listen, I'm going to tip Forest. I'm going to go for Nottingham Forest. I like what they've done this year. Nuno Espirito de Santo looks like he's getting a tune out of those players, especially at Anfield last week. I might regret this because I've got 1-1 written down. So that can go on record that I've got 1-1 written down. But for the love of the game, I'm going to go 2-1 to Nottingham Forest.
This is going to be an interesting WhatsApp debate that kicks off.
Come on.
That's a 13, by the way. If you're going for Forest to win, that'll be 13 for 2-1, and that would be a sensational result and start to the Premier League season for Forest. They last won at Brighton, I think it was in 2015. If you go back literally just over a decade or so, this was a League One fixture with Brighton at home to Forest, and now it is in the Premier League. So good luck with all of your selections. Of course, we will look back on how the guys fared last weekend with their score predictions, and Neil was a goal away from winning this one. If Southampton had scored that penalty, it wouldn't have landed the absolute plum 3-0 score prediction from Paul. But if buts and maybes, that's what football is all about. And it was Paul who came out on top. And this is week number 5. So we've had 4 of these, and it's 4-0 to Paul. I think they call that at the moment a bit of a whitewash. And also, Paul, you landed your treble, and Neil, you didn't.
Did that win as well? Did it? Funny that, isn't it?
I'm not backing like 1 to 10 ons like Man City. I'm giving value. I'm giving value.
There's no value in throwing your money at bookmakers, mate. There's no value in giving them it. You need to win it back.
So so it is 4-0. Is the comeback on? Is Neil Bournemouth Mellor going to come storming back late on from a deficit that looks like it's all lost? But no, who knows? A long way to go yet, to be fair.
Treble, come on, treble. Here's my treble. Bank of Liverpool, Spurs and West Ham. Treble.
You've got more courage than I have for putting Spurs in there, but who knows? You did, as I said, you did that with Chelsea, and they did away at Wolves, and they won 6-2. So Liverpool, Spurs, and West Ham. That's the treble for Neil. What about you, Paul?
Very similar treble, actually. Unusual. Liverpool, Spurs, and my third one is the banker of the treble, Villa. At home to Wolves, and to break that record and not being able to win back-to-back games against their Midlands rivals, something they've not done for 2 decades now. Guys, thanks very much for your time. Good fun as always. We will be back for Matchday 6. It will be David Eason who will be in for myself. He'll be taking charge for Matchday 6, which is coming up next weekend. Until then, good luck with your bets, and always please do gamble responsibly.